So welcome back. So in previous lecture we have finished the instrumentation part of our ESR spectrophotometer or ESR spectrometer. Now in this lecture we will see the actual working of the ESR spectrum. Okay, so once we have introduced the sample, which is the main requirement for the ESR material to be that it should have the paramagnetic nature. Okay, so it should be having the unpaired electron. So once we have introduced the sample into the sample cavity, then how actually this ESR spectrum will obtain, that we can see in the this working section. So once the sample whose ESR spectrum which is to be recorded is kept into the resonant cavity or the sample cavity, the sample cavity will which is having a very long path length in which the wave are restricted to and fro for thousands of time. Okay, so these waves are incident to and fro for the long period of time, because the once this radiation are interacting with the sample, then only the maximum absorption will occur. Okay, and the crystal oscillator which is set up to the produce the microwave radiations are then after passing through the isolator, the wave meter are receive the signal from the magic T through the armor. Okay, as we have seen that how that path of that microwave radiation is from source, then from the source. Okay, so from source, that is klystron source, we get the radiation into the isolator, then wave meter, and in between wave meter and isolator we might have in the attenuator. So once that signal has been passed from the wave meter, it will enter into the arm 1 of the magic T. So once that signal has been entered into the arm 1 of magic T, we can next get the microwave power is entering into the arm 1, and it will get divided into the two chambers. Okay, or the two components. One is giving to the arm 2 and arm 3. Okay, so arm 3 is generally having the balancing load, so it will be like having the balancing load which will cause the make the resistance for the radiations, or the be specific here the impedance. Okay, impedance. So arm 3 is generally having the balancing load, the microwave power which is absorbed completely through the arm 2 and arm 3. So there will be no power given to the arm 4 directly from the source. Okay, so the energy coming from the source is first entered into the arm 1. So once that energy has entered into the arm 1, it will be get distributed to the arm 2 and arm 3, and within this arm 2 and arm 3 is connected to the balancing load, and the impedance of arm 3 will changes because of the arm 2 impedance is changing. Okay, so because of this resonance absorption by the sample, microwave power will enter into the detector through the arm 4. Okay, so once that absorption of radiation has occurred, the radiations are given out, and that has enter into the arm 4 of the magic T. And once that arm 4 receives the signal, it will transfer that signal to the detector, and detector is nothing but our silicon detector. So detector as a rectifier converting this is microwave radiation into the direct current or the DC current. Now the magnetic field around which the sample is changing, the absorption will change the frequency of absorption, and it is generally measured by using the formula. Okay, as this formula is, we have developed this formula in the principal section. So the frequencies depends upon the gyromagnetic ratio, then Planck's constant. Okay, and also the external magnetic field B. Okay, so it will be depending upon the electrons parameter. Okay, so this is the working of our ESR spectrometer. Okay, ESR spectrometer. So the question might be framed in such a way that with the block diagram explain the working of ESR spectrometer. So there we need to draw the first block diagram, and then we need to explain the actual working of ESR spectrometer. Okay, and if only instrumentation is asked, then you need to draw again a block diagram, and you need to explain each and every component individually. Okay, Now the next component or the next part is the application of ESR spectrometer. Next important thing is the application of ESR spectrometer. So this ESR spectroscopy applications are like we have seen in the like certainly we have calculated the number of lines, hyperfine lines are the splitting pattern of the various radicals. Okay, so the radicals might be organic or inorganic radicals. So the general obvious application of the ESR spectroscopy is the study of the free radicals. Then second application is the in the structure determination, and like if we could be like extract or we can be store the radicals, then this ESR spectrometry or ESR spectroscopy can also be useful for the chemical kinetic, okay, kinetics or the reaction velocity and the mechanism. And the last is the for the specifically for the study of inorganic compounds. Okay, we have seen this. So one by one we will see the applications of ESR spectrometry. Okay, so the first application is the study of free radicals. Okay, so the free radicals are generally studied by using the ESR spectrometry spectroscopy at very low concentration, and the around the concentration might be around 10 raised to minus 13. Okay, 10 raised to minus 13. The most important application of the ESR spectrometry is the for determination of the structure of free radicals of organic as well as inorganic compounds. This radical which may produce by the chemically, photochemically or by using very high energy radiations. Okay, so these radicals might be produced by using certain chemical reactions or certain photochemical absorption or by using certain very high radiations. Okay, so since the free radicals which are very short life, they are trapped in a gases, ozone or rare gases, and in order to obtain the good spectra the free radical must be produced in a concentration of around 10 raised to minus 13 molar. The intensity of ESR spectrum which is directly related to the number of free radicals present in the given ESR sample. Okay, ESR active sample. So the ESR spectrum of quinone hydroquinone redox system, in this semiquinone free radical the anion is existing as the intermediate, and this spectrum of this quinone semiquinone system will gives you the in signal, that is 5 lines with the intensity ratio of 5 peaks are there with intensity ratio of 1 is to 4 is to 6 is to 4 is to 1. Okay, and we have seen this how this ratios will depends upon the nuclear magnetic spin. Okay, nuclear magnetic spin. So for I value equals to 1 by 2 we'll get the behavior in the basis of Pascalian triangle, and if the this I value is greater than 1 by 2 we'll get the non-Pascalian behavior. Okay, now next application is the structure determination. The ESR technique which is generally which cannot be used for the application of determine the complete molecular structure, because the information which is obtained from the hyperfine structure which is mostly about the extent of our electron delocalization. Okay, so these ESR spectroscopy alone cannot be gives you the exact structure of your compound, because it will be only gives the idea about the extent of our electron delocalization. Okay, extent of our electron delocalization, but the like we can predict the number of surrounding atoms. Okay, magnetically acting surrounding atoms based upon the hyperfine splitting. Okay, so it does not tells about the arrangement of atom in the molecule. So ESR is able to only provide the useful information about the shape of radicals. Okay, so it will not tells you the like exact structure, because it depends upon the extent of electron delocalization. So how this is useful we can explain in the basis of methyl radical. So methyl radical which can be produced in the solid state by very high energy radiation incident on the methyl iodide at low temperature. It has a planar structure or the tetrahedral structure. The ESR spectrum will conclude that the methyl radical is tetrahedral in nature. Okay, so the methyl radical is in tetrahedral nature. This can be confirmed by using this ESR technique. Okay. So next important thing is the rate velocity or the kinetics and the mechanism. Now the ESR spectroscopy is very useful for the large number of organic as well as reactions, various reactions which will produce the free radicals. The most radicals which form during the organic reactions are not stable, but they are very reactive. So for ESR studies, the rapid flow system which is generally used, so it will give you the information about the reaction kinetics and the detailed fragmentation mechanism, and the applications which are mostly useful for the polymer preparation and the free radical mechanism, which is generally case in the organic reactions. Okay. So for polymer reactions and for free radical reaction mechanism, the CSR spectroscopy is useful in the organic reaction mechanism. Okay. Now next is the study of inorganic compounds. Study of inorganic compounds. So ESR spectroscopy, which is useful in the study of inorganic compounds. For example, we have calculated the number of lines for this SO3 twice NO minus ion. So it will give you the triplet in the ASR spectrum as a chloroform as a solvent. So this will give you the interaction between the spin of unpaired electron and the spin of nitrogen, and this nitrogen is having the nuclear spin greater than 1 or 1 by 2, greater than 1 by 2. So we will get this plating pattern in the form of non-Pascalian behavior. Okay, so we'll have the same peak intensity 1 is to 1 is to 1. So confirming that these electrons are mainly localized on the nitrogen atom. So these are the certain applications for the ESR spectrometry or spectroscopy. So one application is this study of inorganic compounds, study of free radicals, study of our kinetics and mechanism, reaction mechanism, and another one is the structure of radicals. Okay. Now next point is the advantages of ESR spectrometry or spectroscopy. So electron spin resonance spectroscopy will decide the about the site of unpaired electron. So we'll obviously say that the electron is unpaired in the given compound or not. Okay, so the for paramagnetic nature of compound we will certainly get the ESR spectrum, and for diamagnetic compound we won't get the ESR spectrum. The number of lines component will decide the number of and the type of nuclei which are present in the neighbor of your odd electron. Okay, so based upon the splitting pattern we can get the idea about the nature of and the number of nuclei present around the free electrons. Okay, so splitting pattern is important for deciding the nature and the number of particular nuclei around the free electron. The relative intensities of the spectral lines will confirm the type of nuclei which are responsible for the splitting pattern. So it will be useful for the evaluation of the total number of free electron in the given samples. So the based upon intensity, as we have used for the various spectroscopic technique, so based upon intensity we can say that how much concentration is there. So similar thing we can apply here also. So we based upon the intensity we can calculate the or evaluate the total number of free electron in the given samples. Next, the ESR technique, which is used to measure this system, either the anisotropic or isotropic shift. So it is the electric field which is having the special effect in the ESR spectrum. So this ESR spectroscopy is anisotropic and the vice versa. Okay, so these both ESR, that is, it is direction independent. Okay, anisotropic effect is the direction independent. So ESR technique is useful for the determination of spectrum. So there are the certain limitations for this ESR spectrometer. The limitations are as that first is the compound or the sample should be magnetically active. Okay? And the if the compound is magnetically inactive or the diamagnetic compound is there, we cannot determine the ESR spectrum of that particular compound. The next important limitation is that the constant magnetic field which should be maintained, and the magnetic field should be uniform and reproducible. Okay, so if that is not been maintained, then the energy gap will not be like precise one, and we won't get the like desired spectrum as we are expecting from the given sample. And the solvent which are generally inferior in the results. So once we are using the various solvent, there might be possibility that sample solvents are magnetically active, and there might be interaction of this solvent with the sample, and overall we get the ESR spectrum due to the combination of magnetic field interaction between sample and solvent. Okay. So these are the certain limitations for the ESR spectrometry. So this our spectral method two unit is the over here. So in this techniques we have seen the arc and spark sources or the plasma sources. In main section we have seen the plasma sources, within that we have seen the arc and spark sources. Then next we have seen the Masbow spectroscopy, and last is the ESR spectroscopy. So all of these three spectroscopic techniques are having the equal weightage. Okay, in exam the all of these three techniques are having the equal weightage. So from next lecture onwards we will start the new unit. Okay, next unit of the same paper.